Welcome back to following Know It On, a Stormlight podcast. This week is episode maybe 226, or maybe it's not an episode, or maybe I don't know what's going on anymore. Paul, how are you?
Doing wonderful. You're right, Trevor. This is definitely very different from anything we've done. So I'm excited, a little nervous. I think this might get a little competitive. Hopefully no one's feelings get hurt if we choose what the other wanted. But yeah, we're building our bingo boards for real for Stormlight 5.
Yeah, briefly, what were we in? Sunlit? Somebody mentioned we needed a Wind and Truth bingo card, and here we are. We're going to make one. There's going to be a link in the description if you would like to make one for yourself. We will be... Actually, I'll intro Elliot first before I do some rules. Elliot, how are you?
I'm doing great. The hype for Wind and Truth is building to an absolute crescendo. At our time of recording this, we are spot on a month, I think. Little more. A month and like 3 days from Wind and Truth physical copies in our hands. I could not be more excited, and bingo card seems like the perfect way to ratchet up the excitement even more.
Yeah. I will go ahead and roll intro, and then we will get into the rules of what exactly we are doing here. Okay, so brief overview of the rules before we get into this. We are going to make a 5x5 bingo card right here. And we asked our Discord of different events that could feasibly happen in Stormlight. Some are serious, some are not so serious. And we have sorted them into two categories of what we think is likely to happen and what we think is unlikely to happen. Now, I'll put a caveat here. I have read through, at the time of this recording, Wind and Truth chapter 23, I think 26, 25, something like that. And I disqualified things that were explicitly spelled out in those previews, but it was next to nothing. So we are going to go through all of our options here and draft one by one stuff to put on our bingo cards. We can put them anywhere we want, except for on the diagonals, we have to put what we have deemed to be unlikely in the diagonals. So we can't stack like a bunch of likely things in one column or a couple columns and then put stuff we think is unlikely on the other side of the board, if that makes a little bit of sense. If you want to play along, I'll put a link to these options that we've drafted in the description. You can make your board however you want. These are just the rules that we're going to play by.
We're being mean to each other, so Trevor has made us not stack all of our likely options together.
Correct.
But you're welcome to do it however you'd like. Try to get a bingo from reading Stormlight 5. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I'm going to be cordial and allow Elliot to go first. And then Paul will go second, and then I will go third, and then we will restart with Elliot. So out of 85 different options of different things that are more or less likely to happen, Elliot, what would you like to start with?
Man, so many options here. Okay, I'm going to... little strategy here. I think there's a few unlikelies on here that you guys have underrated. So I'm going to try and snag up some of those first. What do I think is going to happen most likely? I'm going to go ahead and grab... where is it? Kaladin enters Shadesmar. We have that as unlikely. I think that's very possible. I'm going to grab it. Put it on my diagonal.
What
Kaladin
number
enters
is it?
Shadesmar.
It
is
48.
row 48.
Okay. Elliot has grabbed Kaladin enters Shadesmar. Paul.
All right. Elliot, that was very cordial of you to choose from the unlikelies. I am going to choose a likely one and fully motivated on, this is for fun. I'm just doing it because he's my favorite character. Number one on the Excel sheet on the spreadsheet is number 2, but number 1 of the list is Adolin becomes a Knight Radiant, and that is what I'm going to snag first.
Okay.
So since it is likely, I'm not putting it on a diagonal, but that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, make sure to add it to your board and then add that you claimed it on the spreadsheet. I am going to start with something that may be unlikely. Elliot wrote it off pretty quickly as we ranked this. But I think Roshar will be revealed as an ether planet, as an ether was originally on the planet. And based on what we know of the Midnight Mother, that is what I'm drafting first. That is what we've ranked as unlikely. And I will add it to my board.
All yours. You can have it. All right. I've got my next one. Another unlikely. I think that more than one herald will die. It's row 38.
38.
Very, very possible in my mind. More than one herald dies.
And just for clarification, when we say die, anything that says die on this list means like confirmed, no longer coming back. Like they're in the beyond, like for sure. Because Herald dying, like they die all the time. But
true. Yes, agree.
Okay.
Okay. I think that means I'm up next, right? It's not against the rules, to my knowledge, that I can choose 2 likelies in a row. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit mean and keep picking off our likelies. I'm gonna say that Vasher and Nightblood exchange at least 2 lines of dialogue, because this is more of, for me. This is less of a. This is gonna be correct, but more of my wish list of what I want to see, and that's one of the things I definitely would like to see.
Okay. I am going to snag the easy, almost confirmed Shalon is pregnant. Where is it?
Almost confirmed, he thinks.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was it Vin that I was very confident was going to be pregnant at some point, and then she never was?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, could be a good one. All right, my next one. Ooh, I had my eye on this one from the start. Gavinor or Oroden, Bond of Spren. One of our little ones.
That's
Any
a fun
point
one.
in the book.
Where's that one?
Bond of Spren, row 36.
Near the top. Or no, it's not. Yeah.
Row 36.
36.
Unlikely. It is going right on my X.
The
Good
or does a lot of work
job.
on that one. The or, I don't think and would be a good pick,
No,
but
that
the
would
or,
definitely not happen.
yeah.
That's a fun one. Okay. I'm speaking of ors, I'm choosing another or. This one is an unlikely, row 46. I am going to add that we will visit either Braze or Ashen or both. That is rather unlikely, but like I said, this is my wish list more than a bingo card for me. So, and just to point of clarification, Trevor, because it is unlikely does not mean it has to go on my diagonal, right?
Correct.
Just
But,
that.
But only
unlikely
unlikelies can go on diagonals.
Okay. Perfect.
Correct. You can put it wherever if it's an unlikely. I am going to have a wishful thinking as opposed to something that I think is actually going to happen. Rock will have dialogue. I'm snagging Rock will have a dialogue. Where's Rock? Oh, there it is. I scrolled past him. There he is. Number 67.
I've got another one. I'm going up to the likelies now. I've grabbed a couple unlikelies that I wanted. I think the first likely one that I need is row 14. The origin is mentioned.
Okay.
Definitely seems like that's going to happen.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good gimme.
That is a good one, Elliot. That was a great choice. Okay, while he adds that, I've got mine picked out. Another unlikely, which, as an aside, we got more predictions of this. For the record, we consolidated, deleted duplicates, anything that's been, confirmed or anything like that, we've already deleted from this list. But one of the ones we got the most is that Pattern will die, and that we have deemed unlikely. But I'm gonna go ahead and snag it because it might happen.
Row 71.
Yes, there we go.
All right. And my final one that I pre-drafted, the rest I'm just going to go off of feel as I scroll through this. But the final one that I definitely wanted was a listener rides a chasm fiend. I think a listener will definitely ride a chasm fiend before the end of the book. Or singer. Got to put that caveat in there.
Okay. You didn't pick it. So I'm going to, Trevor. I'm going to steal it from you. Sorry. Unlikely, down at the bottom, row 82 says Tien speaks dialogue.
You snake.
Yep. You had you had plenty of chances to take
that's
it.
true.
I
You
did,
left
but I
it.
didn't think you would take it.
Oh yes. It is stolen.
I think me and Elliot's strategy should just be to steal Trevor's prompts.
Why,
With
'cause
that,
I
I'm
know-
not gonna. I'm not
I
gonna
know
do
more
that,
about the
though.
book than you do.
No, you've just had more time to mull through the other books.
Oh, yeah, fair
Okay.
enough.
For mine, I'm going back up to the likely list, and I'm going to steal. Emphasis on steal because it's a very highly contested. I'm sure. I'm going to steal the coveted row 4. Dalinar's butt is mentioned again. We deemed that this was likely, and for good reason. He's been mentioned before. He's sure to be mentioned again. Gonna steal
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you might as well
memes.
put that one in your free space.
that.
The memes will flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't talk about the free space actually. We should talk about that for a second. We've got the center marked as a free space, right? I actually thought of something I wanted to submit, but I didn't because it's such a gimme. We could easily make the free space. Shallan is finally revealed as Lightsong.
As light song. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Go ahead and
It
replace
really is
yours, Paul.
interchangeable. You're
Yeah.
right. It is fully interchangeable. If you'd like to change that on yours, you're welcome to. To me, it looks the exact same, so I'm just going to leave it as is.
All right. I'm going to dip into the likelies. Y'all are going for the likelies too fast here. It is currently snowing in a scene. It will be actively snowing at some point.
I made sure to clarify this with Trevor, actually. This is, I'm going to call him out. This is one of Trevor's submissions, right? It can't be that it has snowed and our characters are in snow, but it
Correct.
must actively be snowing at that
Correct.
moment. Okay.
Just a couple lines down below that one, I'm going to grab 6 different heralds have dialogue.
This okay.
Oddly,
Go ahead. This one is crazy that it's likely that you put this for likely. There's no way 6 heralds have dialogue.
I think it's. I've had mixed
think it's a
feelings
given.
on this. I think
it's a
I've
given.
had mixed feelings on this. If there is a book for it, it's going to be this. The closest we've had is Oathbringer, where there's a good bit of heralds mentioned. I feel like I almost took this one next. So
we've got
behind it
4 of them already in and amongst our heroes, 5 even. Like, all we need is one more. One more.
No way.
Okay,
right, Paul.
On the number, the lucky number here, Elliot took 6 different heralds have dialogue. I'm gonna say row 25, another likely that more than 6 shards are mentioned, and epigraphs count. That's
Okay.
why I'm going for it.
My only argument against this is we've already been there and done that. We had the letter last book of listing all the shards. I don't think this is actually as likely as you think.
All right. Well, I think it's likely, Trevor.
3
and I think we're going to get some I think there's no too much want, and I think Brandon Sanderson knows it, for people to catch on to random shard mentions. So I think we'll get more than 6.
I am going to draft 3 Colin's die.
Whoa.
Or
Sad.
yeah, at least 3 Colin's die. So if more than 3, then I still get it, right? Surely.
Yes. That will be pretty devastating if we lose 3 colons.
Anybody with the last name Colin. So that could be
Yeah.
Gavinor, that could be Navani, that could be Shalon.
Okay. Next up, unlikely. I'm going to go. I need to fill in the rest of my X here. Row 61 says a third bondsmith swears the first ideal.
Okay.
I think we could absolutely see this. I'm gonna grab it. I even have some ideas on who this might be. But
yeah, you
generic
have
enough.
You submitted the Adolin one higher up, didn't you?
I did. I had some ideas as I was thinking about this. I think a shocking reveal would be Adolin as a bondsmith.
Yeah.
I want to add on to that briefly, because I've had the prediction as of like 2 weeks ago that I think Adolin is going to become a Stone Ward. My reasoning, because in Words of Radiance, he uses stones as a swear word. So,
Does he?
yes, stones. He does. I remember because it caught my attention very deliberately.
Ooh,
So
is he?
there it is. He's going to be
Is he secretly Shin?
No,
maybe.
No, he's secretly a world hopper from Yumi's planet.
You're right.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. From
Yes.
Kayoshi or whatever it's called.
Kamashi?
That's what it is. Kamashi.
Yeah. Okay. For my next one, I've been scrolling. I've been trying to find one that really speaks to me. There's a couple that I'm going back and forth between. But I think the one I'm going to take is row 54. It says a character that we know is revealed to be a Khandra.
Okay. So,
Bold.
not that a Khandra is introduced, a character that we have already been introduced to reveals as a Khandra.
Has been mentioned at some point. It doesn't have to be a major character, but
Sure.
a mentioned character that we know is revealed to be a Khandra.
I'm holding out for Demu to be a Khandra. Although that would mean Demu would be dead. So, never mind. All right. I am going all in on ethers. An ether is described and used.
Wow.
I don't think we would have spent as much time as we did before Stormlight 5 without them at least being somewhat relevant.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna grab another likely. You guys are leaving some low hanging fruit up here still. Row 16. Anyone says, honor is not dead.
Yeah, you can put that in your free space,
I feel like it, yes.
but I'll see what I can do, I guess.
Speaking of free spaces, I also was looking at the likelies again, Elliot. I'm gonna take row 6, a schism within the Skybreakers. I think we're gonna have Zeth, Neil, someone.
Okay.
Some people are gonna disagree.
I don't like this one because
Okay.
I feel like this has already happened. Because
That's
Zeth is with Kaladin and Nail is not with Kaladin. So I
That's
feel like
fair.
this is already a thing.
I'm okay deleting it personally. Or we could.
Well, how about we leave it in and you can take it if you want, but we redefine it as like some other Skybreakers break away from Nail.
Okay.
That's how I would talk about it too. It can't just be one rebel. It has to be like 2 or more groups. Like factions
Is it Nail?
form.
Did I spell that right? I just updated it live.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I'm gonna change my guess then, or my prediction.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, I'm also jumping back up to the likelies, Elliot. I'm going to take another one, which I think is a pretty given one. That Adonalsium is mentioned more than 7 times. That is a lot of mentions.
That's a lot.
7?
Okay. We also have to
More
define
than
this
7.
one. Is it like Adonalsium, the word is in the book more than 7 times? Or if like
Yes.
there's a conversation
Yes.
where they're talking about Adonalsium, is that one?
No, Adonalsium, like the Adonalsium is mentioned more than 7 times in the book.
Okay. All right. I do think we can keep that as likely then. All right.
Okay, deal. That's mine.
All righty. You guys are not prioritizing these unlikelies as much as you should. Oh, obviously, a sport is mentioned or created. I'm going to snag this one. Shout out to Wayne.
Oh, what are we doing? Okay, so there's a prediction in here. It probably should have been picked first before any of the rest of these. And I cannot believe that all of us have missed it so far. I'm jumping on number 20. Likely, someone publishes a book.
Someone publishes a book. So I do agree this is likely, but I think Wind and Truth may be written after Wind and Truth,
Possible.
which might be the problem.
But
I
this is also any book
True.
of any kind.
I agree with Elliot. I think that was a given. I'm surprised it hasn't. Another one, which I am surprised has not been taken yet, in the unlikely category, row 69, Roshar is destroyed.
Ooh,
I
There's
think
no
this
way
is-
that happens.
this
there's
is
no-
this is happening.
No way.
Okay, destroyed as we know it. Like it's like a, and this like the planet still might exist, but in the same way that what the previous planet that the Alethi were allegedly at, it was destroyed. It's still there.
I'm willing to be lenient on this definition. It's still not happening. It's
Okay.
it's still not
Well,
happening.
it's my bingo card, Trevor, and we'll see what happens.
I'm mad I forgot about this. This is my prediction. I think this is absolutely going to happen. I think full-on Death Star Roshar, the planet, will not exist.
What
by the
about
end of the
Carbron?
book.
It has to be a city on a hill, remember?
Nope. It will all be gone.
Okay.
See, now we're talking, Elliot.
I'm pulling Paul's vague submission here and stealing it from him. Cultivation is the mastermind behind the plot. This is vague enough to where I'm just going to argue it from day one and try to like convince you every single episode that I can put this on my bingo card.
All right. Sorry, I got distracted. I realized I cheated a second ago and put a likely on my X. So I've remedied that problem.
It's all right. We'll review at the end and call you cheater then.
Back. I'm no longer a cheater. Back to the list here. What do I need to grab? What do I need to grab? Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Ooh, I feel like I'm stealing one from Paul here. That's only fair. I stole one from Trevor earlier. Paul, I'm going to steal. I stole Trevor's TN1. I'm going to steal your Zeth one. Likely, row 26, Zeth will die.
Zeth will die. I agree.
I don't think Zeth will die. I didn't want to take that one.
Copium.
Yeah, probably so. I'm realizing now a lot of our characters dying are not on the list, and I feel like that's the big ones. You know, is Dalinar going to die? Is Kaladin going to die? None of those are actually on the list.
I grouped
other
them in
than
row
Haddock.
30.
Are they? 3 Kolens die. Well, that's very different.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to put one that is the top of my wish list, or near the top of my wish list, row 39, that Tanavast has a POV chapter or interlude. I definitely am hoping for that. It'd be awesome, so I'm going to take it.
All right. There's something down at the bottom here that I wanted. Unmade. There are more than 5 unmade shown at some point.
Maybe.
More than 5 though.
Yes.
Kind of tough.
All right. This next one is making me like tear up just thinking about it. and I really, really hope it does not happen. But it might. So I'm going to pick it. I'm going to take unlikely. Kaladin and Syl are not bonded at the end of the book.
Where's that one?
Row 42.
42.
That is a tough one. I'm going to go on the complete flip side of you, Elliot. I'm going to say number 12, that Kaladin says the fifth ideal. No one's much happier. Maybe.
But not
And we don't know
mutually
the
exclusive.
context. That's true. They could both happen, but
Yeah.
we will see. Mine, they're unlikely to both happen. That's for sure.
Well, I actually argue that maybe they are both likely to happen, but
Well, I'll let you argue that. That's okay.
alrighty. I'm going to take. Man, I was going to take more than 2 fifth ideals are sworn, but more than 2,
Yeah.
I don't. 2, I would grab. More than 2, I don't think I can grab. Where's Teft? Yep, Teft speaks dialogue. Grabbing that one. Holding out for a hope.
See, whenever we were looking through the list of submissions, which, by the way, thank you to everyone for sitting in your submissions. I saw some of these that were like X person says dialogue, and I'm like, that's so vague and easy. Like that's, and then I actually looked and thought, and I was like, if Teft is speaking, then that's a big deal.
I think it is
There's-
it is the same plausibility as TN speaking, right? Because TN spoke in Rhythm of War when he was very much dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's flashbacks, that's another thing. There is likelihood for that. But if Teft shows up and starts talking modern day, then all of our bingo cards are out the window. So
Yeah.
except Trevor's.
Am I next? Trevor just went, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm grabbing another unlikely. This one is kind of crazy. I might be a psycho for taking it, but we're doing it. Honor is held in full by a vessel. I think there's maybe some kind of implied steps that have to happen in this, in that maybe honor has to be reformed and then taken on by a vessel in this. But I think all that is very possible in the Sanderlanche of a book 5 here. So I'm going to grab it.
Yeah, I think it's a decent grab.
Speaking of decent grabs, I grabbed one which I think is rather decent. Row 15. I'm picking off these likelies, so you're gonna have to watch out. I'm getting competitive here. I am taking row 15 that we learn what shattered the planes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one to grab.
I'm actually surprised that one was still in the pool.
Well, I have finished my diagonals, so I'm scrolling back up to look at these likelies that are still here. I will grab 7. Anti-light is used to kill someone we know, assuming that includes Spren. Does that include Spren?
Sure.
I assume so.
Okay. That seems like a pretty easy one.
I think we're grabbing the last few of maybe the super obvious ones, but I think we've got at least one more here. It is number 21. We will see Risen's Dawn Shard in use.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we would have spent the time we did going to watch her get it if it wasn't going to be relevant at some point.
That is one I was really considering taking. It's a good choice. Okay. Going down, I'm going to steal one that was my own submission. Just as a side note, this could be at row 33, says we will see the weeping. I think it's going to happen in the form of like a flashback or something, something of that nature. But I feel like we're going to get a scene that shows that. So that's what I'm going to take.
So the question for me is, does the weeping occur in Shinovar? Because I think if the weeping does occur in Shinovar, your odds go up dramatically based on whose book this is a flashback for.
That's a good point. We'll see. I don't know the answer to that.
That's me next.
Sure is.
All right. The fourth bridge is used in a battle.
That's a good one.
I was considering
that's
doing
one
that next.
I had my eyes on for sure. That one's gonna happen for sure.
I'm going to grab another one I think is fairly likely, and I'm actually glad to grab it because I love this kind of stuff. In our likely category, an entire chapter is dedicated to fabrials or light mechanics. Please, please, please give me as many chapters of these as you can, Brandon.
I'd also be willing to. I'm going to be pretty lenient on this one and say like 75% of the chapter. If we're talking about like a fabrial and then we have like a side conversation about something else, I'll include it.
Yeah, like the chapter's premise is to learn about fabrials and light mechanics. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think that's likely. I'm taking one, which is another one that's just on my wish list. The last one of the list, row 86, Xyle and Azure exchange dialogue. I don't know that will happen, but it's on my wish list. So,
I mean, this has been on people's wish list since Words of Radiance. So
that's true.
Or Oathbringer more accurately, but alrighty. I'm going to grab the likely all shards remain on Roshar at the end of the book.
That one I'm really torn on. I thought about grabbing it, but I think I'm just so all in on my Roshar is not even going to be a planet thought that it doesn't allow me to pick it.
Well, see, my question is, why is everybody leaving Roshar if Odium is going to leave Roshar, right? Like in the Lost Metal, we see a bunch of people are running away from Roshar, which is where your theory comes in, Elliot. But I think the one that's plausible to leave Roshar is Odium, and I think Odium will stay. So,
all right, I think we're starting to get into some of the trickier ones now. Ooh, here's one I have a question for you guys. So, row 40 says Hoid leaves Roshar. How would you guys define that one? Is that like we see Hoid off of Roshar at any point? Or like by the end of the story, he's no longer on Roshar?
I feel like that is like it can't be him having a flashback to being on another planet. If he leaves Roshar and comes back to Roshar at some point in the story, I'll give it to you. I don't think it has to be at the end of the book.
So not flashback.
No,
that's my thought, but
not flashback. And also, so a couple caveats here. I put this one in, and when I wrote it, I said Hoid physically leaves Roshar. So if his body is still on Roshar and he's mentally like hanging out with Frost or something, like mechanics and all that aside, I think Hoid physically has to leave Roshar, and he could also come back. Like if he goes and visits Silverlight for some information and comes back, that counts.
Okay. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab it. I can think of enough different scenarios where that could be fulfilled that I think it's worth grabbing. Like I'm gonna add to the text here, not flashback or something like that.
All right. Well, I'm jumping up to more likelies. Number 5, massive anti-light fueled explosion. Once again, this one I think is fairly likely, and it's also a wish list. I think that's going to be awesome.
Completely feasible. I want to grab number 10, we meet all the living heralds. But there's one herald that I don't think we will meet, and so I'm not going to grab it. I do think the Pure Lake fish are going to be mentioned, though, so I will grab that. I think we'll have enough interludes that they surely will be mentioned by someone.
All right. I've still got one spot left on my X, and I'm hunting through the unlikelies here to find the right diamond in the rough to fill my slot.
Go all in on your Adolin Bondsmith thing.
Ooh. I don't know if I can trust that one to the fate of. I might stick it later on, but not in my trusty diagonal slot here. I saw a decent one. Where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. I think this one's decently likely. Row 49, someone enters a chasm on the Shattered Plains. And hopefully by someone, we mean like anyone.
We do
Yes.
mean anyone.
And I almost took that one. That's a good one.
Something we do have to clarify, though. Do they have to be alive? If someone's like dead body gets thrown in a chasm, does that count?
Oh.
I mean, I think the phrase "someone enters a chasm" is referring that they're choosing to enter the chasm at some point, whether that's
Right.
desperation or whatever. I don't think a dead body being slinged in would count.
Like,
I do think
think I
anyone,
agree.
if they fall in,
would Esh and I count? Is my question.
Not unless someone's like visiting her. So
No,
no,
like-
Eshna herself does not count.
like her
No.
being thrown in or whatever.
Yeah, like at the end of Words of Radiance, when Esh and I gets tossed in the chasm and she dies from it, does that count?
No.
I think if they're alive when they're thrown in, it counts.
and they die at the bottom.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that
That's
counts.
That's a good one. Yeah, if they're alive upon entrance, they count.
I think
Deal.
if they're dead and you're kicking them over to fall into the chasm, I don't think
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
We'll go
clarification.
We'll go with that. Okay. I'm stealing up all the likelies. Number 19, someone uses the terms knights, shades, or rusts as an expletive.
That's a good one. Yeah. Shades is obviously Threnody. Rust is obviously Scadrial. Knights is Cell. Is that right?
Well, so Shy says that, but it's actually kind of confusing why she says that.
But yeah, she's from Cell, so that's.
But you would think Knights
She
would be a
uses it-
Haldane thing.
Oh, maybe she uses Knights as an honorific, though, right? Like, it was a bad thing, so it was like nights or days or whatever. Anyway, any more likelies that I should grab? The sibling or the Stormfather dies? I'm really conflicted on that one.
I've been sitting here with the same thought.
I could go either way of like that could definitely happen or the absolutely not. I think I'm going to grab it, and because of the Stormfather, I think the Stormfather is more likely to die than the sibling.
All right. My hot take is that I think we're done with likelies. We've got a few more on the list. I don't think any of them are going to happen. So I am all in on the unlikelies.
Okay.
But we're starting to get kind of tough with some of these. Where do we go? Ah, yes. Okay. I have my eye on this one, but I wanted it on the edge of my board because I'm not very confident in it, but I think it would be potentially awesome. And I use that word intentionally. Lift declares she is not hungry.
Yes, I submitted this one.
That's a great choice.
I love it. I can imagine a number of different scenarios where that phrase specifically could be used to epic use.
Much less epic unless there's a big moment. More sad is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to take number 28, which is in our unlikely category, that Adolin dies, which I do not want to see happen for the record.
I was very torn on that. I almost went that direction.
I don't want to see that happen. However, I could see if it happens.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Silverlight is mentioned more than once. Not that I think that's super likely, but I'm running out of good ones to snag.
The more turns me off of that one. Once, I'd go for. Twice?
Yeah.
All right. I think I just spotted another one I should have grabbed a while ago. Row 57. More than 2 high spren die from anti-light. That's a lot, but any high spren,
Yeah.
that could happen.
I think that's a good choice, Elliot. I could picture that happening in a large event, like an event where several high spread die. Definitely more than 2. I think that's fairly likely.
Now's a decent time to talk about. I think I did not put enough thought into strategy on where I was putting my things on my board, because I've got like a few all in a row that are all sad things. And so if they all come to play and I get a bingo off that row, I'm going to be like in a corner crying.
We get we get 3 chapters towards the end of the book. I got a bingo, guys.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Alrighty.
Okay. I have another one, which I'm going to go and grab 63. This one is definitely unlikely, but I don't know how this would look, but I think it'd be cool if a third different type of storm is summoned. I do want to ask a slight point of clarification. This third storm, it just has to be a storm that is new, right? Like we know a high storm, we know the Everstorm, just some storm that's not one of those two, right? Not
Correct.
yeah, like
And-
it is labeled as a storm, but
Yeah.
just different.
There's 2 big theories on this one. Obviously, we have 3 shards. We're missing a storm. That's the first. There's going to be some Lifelight storm at some point, or the Everstorm and the High Storm actually combine into like a War Storm, and that would also qualify.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Was if they combined, would that count? I would
Yes.
hope so.
That
Okay,
would
cool.
count.
Definitely taking it. Perfect.
All right, I'm going to include, not that I think it will happen, but I think it would be cool, a Spren Unbonds a Radiant. I put this one in there. We've been exploring a lot of Spren making their own decisions. I think it would be interesting.
Another clarification question for you. We have one that says a new Shalon persona.
Yes.
Would you include flashback in allowance for that one?
Yes.
Like if it's revealed that in the past she had a different,
Correct.
yeah, I
Yes.
would count that.
Yes,
Okay.
I would.
Then I'm grabbing that one.
Okay.
That was a good choice. If you didn't, that was what I was going to grab right there. Okay, I'm going to go for one that we discounted as unlikely, and while it may be unlikely, I think it's more likely than we think. Row 80, Teravangian loses Odium, is what I'm going to take.
Okay.
Why? Because this could count if Teravangian as the vessel dies and there's a new vessel for Odium, right?
Correct.
Okay, that is possible to happen. So I think it's fairly likely. I'm going to take it.
Yeah. If someone were to, hold both Honor and Odium and it's not Teravangian, then yeah, that would count. I'm going to go with the one right above it. Zeth will wield and fight with 2 different Honor Blades. It specifically doesn't say at the same time, but he will wield and use 2 different Honor Blades.
That'll be epic if we see it.
That's true.
All right, it's getting slim pickings now. So I'm going to actually grab one that I submitted that I think would be fascinating if this happens. Major curveball. Shalon is the only Radiant to reach the 5th ideal.
No, I think that's the least likely thing
I-
on this list.
We get a 5th
I dig
ideal,
it.
and it's none of the ones you're thinking, and it's Shalon. Or any persona of Shalon.
Okay. That is a hot take, Elliot. That one, I will be honest, I'm not rooting for that outcome, that she's the only one. I think it'd be cool if she does get her 5th ideal, but I think there's others we want to see too, ideally.
When that one wins me the bingo, in the 105th chapter of the book, I am coming back to this audio and I will hold it over your heads for the rest of your lives.
Oh,
Yeah, it'll have to be
you are
the one-
welcome to hold it over my head for the rest of my entire life. I will give it to you proudly. But if it does happen earlier in the book, then you're going to have to go the whole rest of the book rooting that nobody else
Yes,
hits their 5th ideal also.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
It's going to happen like the epilogue. Kaladin's
Yeah.
going to like swear his 5th
Someone's
ideal
gonna-
as he's
Yep.
going to.
You're just gonna cry out, no. Yeah. Okay. Line 62, unlikely. A sprint is passed from one radiant to another. I don't necessarily think this is going to happen, but given all of our Sunlit Man conversations and questions that have been brought up recently, this is a question I'd like to have answered. And if they are going to answer it, this might be how. So I'm going to take it.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's one down here that I was surprised. Oh, Sigil ends the book in Shadesmar or otherwise off-world.
Who knows? Maybe those will be answered at the same time. Maybe he'll give his Spren to someone else, his Windrunner Spren, and then
Maybe.
ditch town.
All right, I'm going to do something I said I wasn't going to do and go back up to the likelies. I don't like any of the rest of the likelies. I don't think any of them are going to happen, but we're out on the borders of my bingo card here. Do I want to do this?
There's only one more in the likelies that I would pick.
The one I'm going to grab is more than 3 previously named Windrunners die.
Okay.
And I'm really hesitant. I'm not confident in this because more than 3, so 4 or more, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But there's also a fair number of Windrunners that have been named at this point.
It's true.
We got a lot added to the crew, so I'm grabbing that one.
We are getting to the more difficult times. It's a lot that we're really not certain about, don't really believe in fully. So we are taking some steps there. I'm also going to grab from the likely. I had one that I was looking at from the remaining list that I thought might happen. Not going to hang my hat on it, but I think we might meet all the living heralds. So I'm going to take that one.
I think it's funny. I said that I would only pick one of the remaining likelies, and neither of those were the ones I would pick.
Well, look at us.
I think cultivation might kill something.
I think that's likely as well.
I think that's actually really unlikely because cultivation, like by definition, grow things. Can she even do that?
That's why I put it in there, because you would think that cultivation, like by definition, can't do that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to learn a lot about shards in this book, and shards are going to do stuff they're not supposed to be able to.
Yeah.
I do think we're going to have an all-out shard war. I think it's really going to be wild. Maybe.
All right, Trevor, did you just grab one?
I did.
So I'm going to grab... This didn't even cross my mind. It's pretty far out there, but I think it's more likely than most of the things left on our list. I'm going to grab one about the fused named L. L, the fused, has a hemalurgic spike. Why not, right?
A lot of people hypothesized about this one.
I was going to say, this one got a couple submissions. We had to delete duplicates for this one. So that is actually a really good grab, Elliot. Okay, I'm going to grab one as well that I think is possible. Maybe not likely, but possible. I think that Cell is going to be mentioned. Row 51.
Did I grab... There will only be one storm remaining on Roshar and not mark it off?
Is it on your card?
That's what I'm trying to find.
If it's not on your card, then I don't think you've grabbed it. If it is, then you definitely have.
We talked about a third storm, but this is the other direction.
I took the third storm one.
You should also grab this one, Paul.
Yeah,
cover your bases.
Yeah, fair point.
You also grabbed the weeping one. Yeah, you're just all over the weather here.
All the weather. Yeah, I'm the weather man. Yeah.
No. Surely there's... Oh, yeah, the Ishik gets married or confirmed married. How is this still not on you?
That was going to be my next one, Trevor.
Ishik gets married or is confirmed to have already been married. Of course. In fact, I have it on good authority that somebody asked Brandon this at last Dragonsteel, and Brandon said, I'll do my best to include it. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
Inside information. You're cheating over there.
Well, yeah.
It's fine. We'll give it to you. Okay. I'm going to grab one that I think is definitely unlikely, but not impossible. We've had a few, I can think of a few times where Hoyd has sat someone down and like way over explained something to them. I think we could maybe get that with Hoyd over explaining about Dawn Shards. So I'm going to grab all 4 Dawn Shards are named or defined. I might lobby here actually to delete the word all, though, because
there might be more than 4.
Yeah, if something drops and we learn like, we've been told there's 4, but then surprise, there's more. Will you give it to me if there's like 4 or more?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely get the points for that.
Yeah, you could just even reword it as more than 3. More than 3 Dawn Shards are named or defined.
Done.
Man, okay. We are getting to some slim pickings here. I'm debating between a couple. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab one. That's like I said, that we're talking wish list for me. I've really been on this is my wish list, not my bingo card. I'm going to take row 58 that more than 2 fifth ideals are sworn. I want to see a bunch. I'd like to see a couple. Maybe not too many, but
is Elliot the one that grabbed the Shalon one?
Yes.
He is, yes.
Okay. So more than 2. So yeah, 3 fifth ideals are sworn. That's, man, I don't know if
that's not going to happen. But like I said, this is my wish list, not my bingo card. That's been my philosophy.
Yeah. Wit and Yasna getting married, that's like absolutely not happening.
I really hope it happens now.
What's the other married one?
There is Polona and
Ishik.
Sabarial marry.
Oh yeah,
He already
I grabbed
took the
Ishik.
Ishik one.
Polona, yeah, where's Polona and Sabarial?
It's row 56.
Yeah, I'll grab that. They're about to die, world's ending, let's get married. Yeah, I could see it happening.
All right, we down to the last one.
Yeah, I think this is our last choices now.
Last choice. Okay.
Man.
All right, we're gonna Hail Mary for this last one. We're all in. This is my predictions. I'm actually a little mad that it's left on the list and that none of you guys think this is a possibility. So, out of sympathy for myself, I'm gonna pick Adolin becomes the 3rd bondsmith. You heard it here first. Gonna happen.
You could get 2 squares in 1 sentence, or you've ruined your board.
Yep.
Man, okay. I'd like to can I mention my honorable mentions? Not the ones that they're ones that I would like to choose. There's not enough space. I'm going to mention a couple. I'd like to put on my board that Noadon calls Dalinar by name. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd love for that to happen. I don't know how. That's not the one I'm choosing. I'm going to be strategic, even though it's lame. I'm going to say that we meet Chris. It's not that likely, but it's more likely than some of the others. Another one I'd like to shout out is somebody submitted that Kaladin and Leshwi will kiss.
Oh, goodness.
I am not putting that on my board because I don't think that's going to happen. But I just want to throw out some of these honorable mentions. There's some really, really funny ones on here. Last honorable mention, someone said Twin Soul in his Rosette Mecha will fight a Thunderclast, which really should have made it onto my board.
You don't think I'm going to pick that one?
Please do. It deserves to be picked.
All right. I'm going to end it with a bang. Even though I wish Noadon will mention Dalinar by name, I don't think it'll happen. A 4th shard will make an appearance in an epilogue.
Ooh.
I'm ending with an epilogue prediction that we will not find out for, I don't know, almost a year, I guess.
It's very specific, too. In an epilogue.
I think if it were to happen at some point, it would be in an epilogue. I don't think there will be a 4th shard actually making moves, but Sazed showing up and giving some advice to someone in an epilogue, feasible.
See, I was going to choose that one a while ago if it wasn't limited to the epilogue.
Fair enough. Yeah, if a 4th shard shows up in the Sanderlands, it's gonna be like, dang it.
Yeah.
I needed you to wait. All right. Let's review some of our boards. I'm gonna try to open this up for the stream here. All right, let's look at my board.
Okay.
Now, where do you guys think I've killed my board?
Where do I think you've killed your board?
Yeah.
That left column all the way on the left is not happening. There's no way. Sabarium, Polona, Pure Lake Fish, Cultivation,
Aether.
A lot of long shots.
Is maybe unlikely. I think 3 colons die is a bit unlikely. Also, does it count if it's more? Like if there's 4 colons that die, does that not count?
3 or I'll put 3 or more.
Okay. I think that's fair. I'll give you 3 or more because it's way too specific. Okay. I think a sport is definitely not going to be in this book. When you picked that one, I was shaking my head.
You don't think they're going to do Stormlight Quidditch?
I don't think so. Even though I think that's a really fun one, like I like that it's on your bingo board, it just would not make it onto my bingo board.
Yeah.
I think your 5 unmades buried down there in the bottom right corner, that could be a dark horse play right there.
Yeah,
I don't know what you
I
can.
think that's I'm a fan of that one.
You've got some things I think that can build. That could be your linchpin right there.
All right, let's move on to Elliot's. Let's see where you ended up here. Well, Tien speaks dialogue right at the header. Nice.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Kaladin entering Shadesmar. I want to talk about this one for a second. Does Kaladin dying and talking to Honor before he leaves count?
Probably not. For the same
Okay.
reason we talked about the chasm earlier. Isn't that mine too? Yeah, it's in the same column. Death prevents enters.
Okay. So if Kaladin dies and then has a conversation Vin style before going to the beyond, I don't think that counts.
I think I agree.
All right.
I think my favorite is row 2 in this one. Row 2.
Row 2. She's
Kaladin
not hungry.
Shadesmar's in that one.
Kaladin, Gavin. So this one, Gavinor and Oridon, that one I'm a little torn on. I could see Oridon, but not Gavinor.
I can agree with that. Definitely Zeth will not die, so that's where you really blundered your bingo board here.
Maybe.
Okay. All right, Paul, what do you got here?
A lot of wild stuff.
I still think you should have put a third storm and one storm on the same board. That would have been funny.
Cover my bases.
Right.
Just not in the same line, right?
Right.
Can't do that.
Yeah, you got to put them maladroitly.
I will say,
from each other.
Yeah, I think that's as likely as Kaladin both swearing his 5th ideal and ending not bonded.
Yeah,
I feel like you could have the 3rd storm come and then end with 1 storm left.
Maybe.
You could. I think that's as feasible as the 5th ideal Kaladin, and ending with no bond. That's pretty extreme. The ones I'm hoping for the most are Tanavast POV and some of the dialogues. Vasher and Nightblood.
Xyle and
Azure. Yeah.
The Brazen Ashen one, I think we should give you flashbacks as well. Like, if any scene is on Braze or Ashen, we should give it to you.
I would agree with that. I'm wondering who's gonna if it's in a Dallin, a vision or Dalinar vision or something.
I would still give it to you.
Visiting. Okay.
If we see Ashen being destroyed by,
it does say we as in the reader. We the reader
right,
will visit one of these places.
Yeah.
So
I would still give it to you, even if it's in a vision. Or we see Talon getting beat up for 4,000 years or something like that.
Paul, I think your bottom left to top right diagonal is pretty wild. If you get that bingo, that's going to be a wild ride.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Crazy enough, I think the thing that's least likely to happen in that diagonal is the weeping. I don't think the weeping will be in this book based on the condensed timeline we have.
I will say, Trevor, while I kind of agree with you, I'm surprised that you have a snow scene as highly likely as you do. I don't know why you prioritize that very highly. It is currently snowing. Is your crux piece.
The reason why I added it is because we haven't had a snow scene in Stormlight yet. It hasn't been something that Brandon has pursued.
Yeah, it's not a particularly snowy planet.
You're right, but we're gonna go over the mountains to Shinovar, And we're
That's
also
right.
hanging out in a tower for presumably a good portion of the book. So surely it'll snow at some point.
Classic Colorado point of view.
Yes.
In fact, I think it's currently
Colorado
snowing
point of
for me
view.
right now.
Wow.
It's
It is
actually
about 80 degrees outside my door right now in Texas. So
I checked outside before we started recording, and it was definitely snaining outside my door.
I drove through the snow
Uh,
to
snaining.
Yes,
get back
there's
from
the
work.
thing.
Okay.
I have one thing I want to point out.
Yeah.
As an aside note, before you wrap us up, Trevor, this was incredibly fun. I absolutely love this. These are really fun bingo cards. I will say, these are, if we wanted to get really crazy and talk about a lot of the mainline things, there's a lot of things that we didn't touch on or weren't submitted or we didn't have come up. Moash, redemption arcs, a lot of our other character deaths or lives, contest of champions. There's a lot of things to dive into, which we will see in this book, but this is really crazy and fun. So I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of major things to predict that did not make the list.
Now that you mention it, not only was Moash not on our boards, he wasn't even submitted at all.
If he was, I would have been jumping on that. So our list is a bit out there. It's a bit wild. It's a bit secondary, tertiary aspects on a lot of things. So I just wanted to mention that as a disclaimer. That there's a lot of wild stuff. It's not really the main plot points. I feel like we could even formulate one that's more of like, what do you really think is going to happen with the plot? You know?
All right. I don't know. We'll probably print these out and have them as we go through our episodes. So we will close there. If you guys would like to follow along, we'll probably do this in our Discord as you guys will probably do your bingo cards by the end of the year, the listeners and the viewers. But we will do this as we're going over the next year. So feel free to share if you guys want to make a bingo card, feel free to share yours, and you can cross yours off as we cover it. So thanks for joining me, Paul and Elliot.
Toodles.
See you later.